And good evening, everybody. This is RJ Carter at criticalblast.com, and it is open mic night. Wow, I had trouble getting that out, but then I've been driving across country today and, watching Netflix and listening to YouTube podcasts while I did that. You don't watch Netflix while you drive. Nobody does that. That's sane. Anyway, little frazzled, little tired. So we're going to try to keep this one on point tonight, unless you all call in using the link over there with something that absolutely has to be talked about. So the link is there for you to use. Joining us tonight is our usual gang of panelists. Gosh, I feel like what's my line host now all of a sudden. Mike Walters from the Mic Stand and Jay Lee, creator of the Steins. How you doing, guys?
All right. How about you, RJ?
Well, like I said, I'm tired and I'm trying to, make the coffee work for me here. I got this is some pretty strong dark roast stuff to be sipping on in the evening. And a one-of-a-kind mug because I don't know where I got it from. It was one of those sites of make your own. It was on a store, and then the item was taken off. So it could have been Cafe Press. It could have been Tea Public. I don't know. I've not been able to find another one like it. So if it drops, I'm going to have to put another one out there. I wanted to get one of the black ones with the white logo, the white version of the logo we got on it, the kind that appears when the hot coffee is in it and then disappears as the cup cools off. They have those, but just never got around to it. So I don't see a whole lot of big stories jumping out this week. I think the biggest story we saw was we had some writers and artists coming out talking about not getting paid by a particular indie press. So,
I can see that.
Yeah, that was somebody from Action Labs was talking about that.
Well, they're
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I did hear it does seem like there are more and more artists leaving the big two, moving on to independent Substack stuff. But one of the other things too, I've been kind of teasing about a little bit too, going back to the whole Cowboy Bebop stuff with Daniela Pineda. When they came out with that one, I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not, but that one picture of her in that two-piece pink outfit with her on all fours.
Yeah,
with that kind of gave me the idea.
Yeah.
I just started calling her as kind of a nickname, Doggy Style Daniela.
No, that's
don't
me.
Do that, dude, Mike. Don't do that, man.
Don't do that. That's me.
But slammed harder than anything.
Yeah, but it does demonstrate that you can wear an outfit like that and pose in action poses. So the whole argument against the Cowboy Bebop character is out the window with that.
Yeah.
Hello, Marv. Good to see you here, and and good night. Sleep tight.
The only thing that I saw that really got my attention was DC books were on hold.
Oh, really? DC books on hold?
Actually, I did see that too. Yeah.
Delay in publishing or shipping or something, and I think that may have to do with their credit being going down.
You had mentioned this last week.
I think that is the case because I think I did read something along that line as well. That I guess I don't know if I read it or if I saw it on one of the other videos. Maybe Flash covered it or whatever. But there was a case where they were talking about possibly DC's credit with some of the printing companies is not good. And so they're having to delay books because I guess they're getting just too far behind on their payments.
Which that would be, that would show how bad DC's books are. I've been saying their books have been bad for.
How bad they are now?
No, I've been saying this. No, you don't understand. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay, it's just like Walmart or any other company. A printing company or something that's dealing with a big company will let stuff slide for several months. And then they'll say, you know what, enough's enough.
Well, they're blaming it on COVID related shortages, but it could be COVID related shortages of cash
Well, yeah, that'd be it. But they're going to say COVID-related cash. I have no problem. I had no problem getting my books from the printer in 10 days.
James, you're still a little on the low side on the volume.
There ain't much I can do about it.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't cut in. It's not as sharp as Mike's mic or my mic. So when you try to talk, you might get over talked more easily because they might not hear that you're saying something.
Yeah.
So if it happens, just understand it's not intentional in that regard. It's just that we didn't know you were jumping in.
Yeah, there's no problem. But what I was getting at is I can get my books in 10 days if I order them. Okay. So this thing about printing problem, there's no printing problem. That's a cop out. You can get your books, once it hits the printer, they can get them to you on time because COVID doesn't affect a machine. And when it goes, remember, it's automated now.
Yeah.
Production's automated. Slicing of the pages is automated. It's all automated now. So you only need a limited crew to run a printing. And this thing with DC saying, "Oh, it's COVID related. That's why our books." No, that's a cop out. I don't believe it.
No,
I don't believe it in one instance. I don't believe it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually heard several commentators say that if COVID has affected comics in any way, it's been more positively, particularly with manga, because with people having to sit at home more, they need more stuff to. And if anything, they believe that the COVID is actually, if anything, it's been a boom to like manga and comics overall.
It's been a boom across the board, even with novels, because novel sales are up 34% since COVID hit.
Yeah, people had to stay home.
Softback, paperback. That's audiobooks, everything.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the baseline theories as to why this might be the case for their credit rating, because their sales aren't down. And mind you, when we say sales, we're counting DC selling to comic shop.
Right.
That's all the printer cares about.
Yeah, their sales are down. They're very far down. They don't even have a book that's hitting 200,000 print run. They didn't even have one. Okay.
Yeah, in the case of both DC and Marvel.
No. I'm focusing on DC for a minute. DC right now, their average print run is between 25,000 and 30,000. That's a print run. Okay. 20 years ago, they had 28 books that were going over 700,000 print run. Okay, that's pretty bad. That is, I mean, that is tanking hard. The other thing is, when you have stuff like that happen, bookstores are going to pull away. They're going to pull away. And you cannot sustain your base model on sales projections from 20 years ago and continue this on when your sales are down by 85%. There's no way you can do that. And if you, it's like you have and this is like in the comic book, when you go to conventions and stuff, you'll see this too. Artists and writers who are not salespeople, are not people, sit behind their tables, they keep their heads down, they're drawing, they're writing like that. They do not interact with anybody, and people walk by them. If you find an artist or writer who's somebody who's a people person, they're standing up, they're talking to people, people start getting interested in their products, and they start buying their products. It's the same thing that's going on over at DC. You have writers, you have artists, but there's nobody in there saying we have to make money.
Yeah. And you know what? You hit on something here.
That says we have to make money. We need stories that will sell. You're going to run your company into the ground.
Yeah. You hit on something here that I don't think you intended to hit on, but you talk about people at conventions and standing up and getting attention to their books. When DC was hitting those numbers, DC was going to conventions, and I don't mean just New York and San Diego.
No, they were everywhere. They were everywhere. They had even here in Dallas, when they showed at DC, they would buy like 12, 13 tables, have this gigantic display and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they don't go anywhere. If you notice, DC's fandom in October Remember, they did it last year. They're going to do it again. I can guarantee you, except for Jim Lee's portfolio review, that's the only thing you're going to see of comics. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah. And you know, right now they can say, well, we can't go to conventions because of COVID. You guys haven't been going to conventions for over 10 years now. And, you know, I wonder if the two are, you know, related in some way. You know, you're not touching people.
I was just at a convention.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a convention going this weekend now. We have Fan Expo next weekend. So we got 3 different conventions here going on in 3 weeks. So this thing about, we can't go to conventions. Yeah, you can. And this is the thing about DC. If they would go to conventions, they only need to have one artist, one of their writers, and a public relations person who can talk to crowds.
Yeah.
And sell things. If you can do that, you got it. But
and they're trying to do it online because that's cheaper. And you can talk to the whole world at one time. But you know what? You know, I'm talking to the whole world at one time, and I'm talking to less than 10 people. So, you know, just because you put it online does not mean the whole world's tuning in.
Right. I mean, you know, when I was surprised at how many people showed up, you know, at the convention, because I was thinking, everybody's going to be scared of COVID. No, people showed up. People showed up all over.
Oh, it was did you see that video of the football game where they were all singing Enter Sandman?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my God, this is a super spreader event. I mean, that was a football stadium with every seat filled.
Well, I watched New Japan Pro Wrestling last night, and they did it in a baseball stadium.
Filled?
It was pretty well packed.
Well, the thing is, I know we're focusing on DC right now, but you know, the point I want to make too is when you have a lot of comic artists, you know, comic writers and artists across the board, not just at DC but Marvel, when many of them have the kind of the same mindset Dan Slott does. I don't know if you guys saw that article a couple weeks ago where it was basically I talked about it on my thing, but you have a lot of pros sitting there having that same mindset he does, and a lot of them are from DC as well as Marvel and the other ones. So it's like,
you know what? There's not a single artist and writer at DC or Marvel who would talk to people in person at a convention the way they talk from behind a keyboard. And we all do that. We all sit there and we see something that's like, oh, this is stupid. And you know what? We type out loud what we're thinking. This is stupid. We would not say that to the person voicing an opinion in public, in a public setting. We, you know, at the very worst, we'd like, you know, I don't know if I agree with that. But
because the reason is if you were to say that to somebody's face, it's likely, boom, you know. Whereas on a computer screen, you know, we could probably say that kind of thing and not have the it's not like, you know, it's not like if any one of us three said something disparaging to the other, but it's not like we can just, you know, pop them in the nose or pop them in the face or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
whereas plus we probably wouldn't say the disparaging thing in person either.
You're physically face to face and you say something like that, pop. You know, so.
Well, here's the thing. When I saw the list of writers run the Substack, okay, and only writers have gone to Substack. They haven't hired any artists.
Yeah.
None. Zero. Zilch. Okay. I was like, good riddance to bad rubbish. Because these are the writers that ran the stuff into the ground. Okay. They're the ones that ran DC and Marvel into the ground. These great writers everybody's yelling about that ran over to Substack. Good. Let them go over there. I mean, seriously, let them go over there. Okay. Yeah, they got a big check and then whatever. Okay, fine. Keep them over there. Now, what DC needs to do, and same thing with Marvel, they need to sit down, start from scratch, get new writers in there that, one, care about the characters and the product. You get those guys in there to write stuff, and an editor that actually cares about the product, not political agenda. And they can turn these companies around. But if they don't do that, they're going to keep going down the toilet. And I'll say this: the only book right now that can compete with manga is Spawn. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. King Spawn did almost 500,000 copies. I mean, when I saw a post, and I went and looked at this to see if it was fact. 52 mangas.
I'll be right back, RJ.
52 mangas that are active right now outsell everything that Marvel and DC put out.
Yeah.
It can't compete against manga. That little statement that Iron Starfire outsold manga. No, they went and got 100 stores to look at their sales, and they're all on the East Coast. And it was number 17 on the list. 17.
Yeah. It's not outselling. It's not outselling toilet paper.
And the thing is, when you go in and you look at numbers and like that, manga is going hog wild because you go over and look at the art, you go over and look at the story. They're good. They sell good. You know,
yeah.
I got some books in this week, independent books this week, and I'm going through them, and one was really good story. Felt like an old Conan book, you know, from Conan the Barbarian and Savage Sword, and it was really good.
Was it the Sumerian?
No, it was John De La Rosa's The Vault.
Oh, they use Vault. Okay.
If you haven't read this is it's a thick book too. It's a fantastic story. Great book, great art, really well written. That's key. Really well written.
That is important. I mean, the writing is what sells it. Now, King Toad's in the chat, and he says, I can care less if DC or Marvel show up at cons. Not like they have anything new to show us. We know their characters and stories. They've been told thousands of times over. Yes, but if they get the chance to actually, you know, interact with the fans, it could change, first of all, the fan perception of stories. And secondly, it would give them more of an immediate feedback when they say, hey, we're going to show the new origin of Batman. And the audience is like,
why?
Nothing. And
well,
you know,
the thing about it is, again, if you get a writer in there, like say you hand me if you hand me Batman, two things are going to happen to Batman. Number one, Bat family gone. Okay, I'm not going to do this whole bunch of all these Bat characters and like that. No, it's going to go dark. It's going to be very detective, and it's going to stay that way. Because they've really pulled away from that, and they need to go back into that.
Batman worked when the Bat family was Batman, One Robin, Batgirl, Alfred and Commissioner Gordon. Well, everyone else was like,
I'm not going to have 50,000 people in the Batcave.
No. That was crazy.
No, that was crazy. At this point, I would pull Robin like Nightwing and let him run on his own. Leave him over to the side. Let him go because he's an adult by now.
Nightwing can, you know, not be part of the Bat family.
Yeah.
Except like for special occasions or something.
Right. But what I'm saying is make it more detective, make it more dark, make it more where the reader has to think.
Yes.
Okay. Not give in everything. Okay. That's what made Hush so good. You know, because I thought it was one character and it turned out to be another character. So that would bring back readers to Batman. And I would get them back up to that 500, 600,000 copy run. You know, it's one of those things.
Somebody's burrito's done.
Yeah, just in case you were wondering, I had to step away to tend to my dog. She was.
No, I just got a text from my brother.
Okay.
But
I heard that bell and I didn't know what it was.
I'll actually be right back again. Sorry.
Okay.
But you know, you can take characters because here's an interesting one because I pulled this up and I got a lot of responses on this. If you look at SpaceX,
okay,
you look at Dragon, which is their reusable that goes back and forth to the International Space Station. Okay,
right.
That's a little. If you look at that, and then you pull up Hans Zorkov's Flash Gordon Shuttle, it's the same thing. Not only that, but their Shuttle 20, the rocket they're going to shoot. If you look at that one, it's also some Flash Gordon. It's the same exact almost the same exact design as Zorkov's interstellar spaceship from the cartoon.
I've got something here. I've got book. I'm going to do an unboxing real quick here, but
because I got some more books.
I'm going to cover up her address because I don't want to do it. It is from Reenie Draws, but But notice,
Oh, I know what Rainy draws.
I know what Rini draws, but this is what you don't do. Hand address every single box. Get a label printer.
No. You have it printed out. Oh,
Yeah, this is hand addressed in Sharpie, which is fine, but you're gonna ruin. You're gonna be like, I've done 17 of them now. I'm tired. So so let's.
I'll be right back again, guys.
The world's ending for everybody here. I hope that's not the case, actually, for anybody's world. But
no, I got 2 more books in this week.
let's see what we got here from Rini Draws. Not like it's a big mystery now that we know who it's from.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Work with me, Knife.
Rini is Rini, Charlie, and what is the girl's name that draws Bonds? So I don't want to butcher her name.
Draws what?
Bonds.
Oh, Miriam.
Miriam, thank you. I don't want to butcher her name.
It's Miriam with an N.
Those 3 ladies are sweet and wonderful.
Yeah, they're fire.
And then you have Mandy, who's the partier.
Yeah, Mandy's a sweetheart.
Oh yeah, I can listen to her talk all day.
All right, yes,
I could. I'll put it like this: if I did an anime of the Steins, I could see Mandy doing Mary, because Mary's from the South.
I'm going to give myself full screen here for just a moment, so I won't see y'all. Well, I will see y'all come back because I get to see little bitty pictures of you at the bottom of my screen. So yeah, we got Fiendish here, and it's interestingly bagged. This is in a.
It's a magazine bag.
This is a magazine bag, sealed sideways. So.
How thick is that? Oh, that's thick.
This is a big wide bag. I don't know what this is, but I want some because I might be sending some prints out. This would hold an 11 by 17, no problem. I just gotta get the right size backers for it. So let's get in here and dig this out. So wow, okay. You could fit a child in this. This should come with a warning. This is not a toy. So we got the Fiendish book.
Very nice. Very nice.
We got the black and white version.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of pages. Very stiff pages. Nice heavy weight to them. It's got the alphabet in the back here, the Ninarsa alphabet. So if you want to,
she put a lot of work into that.
She did. She put a ton of work into it.
And the thing about it is this thing about comics discriminates against Phil. No, it doesn't.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
And when you pointed out, there's like, well, yeah, you're going to have some people who hate themselves enough. Oh, I've got a whole sheet. I got a whole sheet of stickers. These are going to show up on my Lego table surface the next time we do a build stream.
Stickers.
Yes. And I got a handful of cards here. I thought they are in sleeves. Okay, each one of these is in its own sleeve, so well done here. Excellent package from Rini Draws. So I got the 4 character cards. They do have these are game cards because you got hit points and strength and dexterity. I don't know what the game is, but I've got cards for it. So
that's great. She did a wonderful job on that. Okay, now I got this one in the mail this week too.
Let me turn around and give you big screen. Oh, it's glaring on the title, so I can't. Oh, there isn't a title. Okay, what is that?
That is hold on, let me decide.
Is that Sea Dog
and Kill Switch?
I just had Mark Polton on last night.
This is the one with the Dan Fragger cover.
Cool, very cool.
Now I'm going to say this about this book. This is a classic image Maximum Press book from Extreme Studios. That's what it feels like. Artwork is in that genre. Stories in that genre too. So it's not one of the greatest thoughts. It's a fun book to read. It's a fun book to have. I did enjoy it, but I kind of figured what was going in on it. I mean, I'm not knocking this book because I mean it's a thick book too. But look, we need better stories.
Yeah.
On the independent comics, we need to have
And
better stories.
if you like Sea Dog, I have it on pretty good authority that he may be showing up in U.S. Assassin 3 Graveyard Shift, which is the name of U.S. Assassin 3.
Right. Now, the other one I got was, of course, Cobalt.
Oh, from Bionic Bra.
Yeah.
Not Bra, Bra. Bionic Bra.
Okay. And this one has the same issue. Great, amazing artwork, but the story is a basic story, and it's been beaten to death.
The revenge story.
Yeah, and the way it's done, it's not. There's nothing new in how it's told, but the artwork is fantastic. I mean, I don't know who this guy is, but it is a phenomenal. I mean, the whole book looks like the cover. I mean, it's that good of artwork. He really put some money on the artwork. I think this is his first book. So for a first outing, he did a great job. He did a heck of a job.
It's his second story because I believe the Cobalt character first appeared in an anthology of stories that were targeted to the limb different. So they were all people who'd had prosthetics and such as characters in their stories. Yeah. So he started out there, but that was just like a couple of pages short, and then this was the full blown.
He did a great job. This is another thick book, and he did a really good. I mean, for a first outing, first writer, for a young writer, fantastic. I mean, just fantastic.
Yeah,
but
it can grow from there.
He needs some more. Yeah, he's got there's a lot of growth to go on this. But yeah, he needs support. I think support's the best thing. That way, he keeps going. Because with a writer, the only way you get better is continue to write.
Hex Allen says you should check out his book, but he's telling Mike to do it. So Mike, we'll let you get some books and show them up here.
Well, the only thing is we got to remember I'm on Social Security disability, so it's not like I have like I'll put it this way, even to run my own streams, I have to pay Streamler like $25 a month. So it's like I've got to make my money last throughout the whole month. That includes like daily expenditures and all that.
I hear you, because it can get expensive if I backed every single book that I had promoted on my stream, I would be like penniless.
Probably be in the poorhouse.
I know what RJ would probably go after at an auction, and that's one of my sketch covers, which you haven't seen.
Oh, what's this? Oh, you did a wraparound sketch cover for Blood Realm?
Yeah.
That's fire. I love that dragon.
Yeah. Every character's in the book. Even the dragon is.
Has Geronimo seen this?
Yeah, he had a heart attack. And I've got 5 more coming of those. And then I also did one of Bloodgear.
And got Ryan's stuff going now.
Yep. And I've got basically I have they're going to do the alternate auction. I'll have them on there, but I've got 5 Blood Realm sketches coming. I've got 5 Gods and Gears coming, and I've also got 5 Korra coming. So I'm going to have 15 sketch covers.
Wait, 5 Korra. You're talking about Life on Korra?
No, the Red Korra, Red Kyre, something like that.
Oh, okay.
I've got the books, but I'm waiting on sketch covers. Everything's alternate.
I thought you were talking about Life on Korra, because number 4 is on its way on a boat across the ocean, coming here for me to ship out for Mike Jimmy.
Red Kai. I'm sorry. I thought it was K-O-I, but it's K-A-I. I'm sorry.
So Red Koi.
Yeah, Red Koi. Yeah.
Like the fish.
Yeah, the alternate books.
I know we've been talking a lot about like more of the like present day comic stuff. RJ, would you like to let some of the people know who may not know what I tend to cover a little bit?
Well, I know that first of all, you cover 4 days a week the stuff that's happening that day. Uh, with it's reported in Bounding into Comics and
And
Bleeding Cool, and sometimes Critical Blast
too. I've done in CBR as well. So.
But Fridays is when you delve back into the ancient tomes of mystery and show people where this fun hobby actually had its roots. And those weren't necessarily great stories either, but they were fun stories, and they became more complex over decades.
Well, some of them were pretty good. One of the ones I was telling you about, before the show here, was kind of a PSA type story. In fact, one of the things I was talking to RJ about before the stream, this last Friday when I was covering comics that went on sale in April 1938 from DC Comics. And one of the stories that I read happened to be the first intertitle crossover. Now, this wasn't like a Superman-Batman crossover. No, this is a little bit more obscure. This was two of the features that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were working on at the time, prior to the introduction of Superman. Comes a month later in March. On sale date March, cover date June. But the story that I'm talking about, of course, was a Federal Men story starring Steve Carson, in which he was talking to some kids who, of course, as part of the Federal Men feature, they formed a club called the Junior Federal Men Club. And he's talking to them about forming safety patrols and teaching people about street safety. And it was a pretty interesting story in which, at one point, as the kids were helping other people cross the street, one of the kids gets run over by what we today would call a drunk driver. What they called back then a driver who was drugged on alcohol.
Yeah, the language has changed a lot in not really a long time. I mean, the early
75, 80 years.
Yeah.
80,
I love listening to. I love listening to the old time radio programs on Sirius XM and hear them talk about, he drove off in a 4-door coupe on the highway to Los Angeles. When did we take the French pronunciation off the coupes, and when did we take the hard G off of Los Angeles?
Couldn't tell you that. I think only time would tell. If you do things kind of like the way I've been doing them, where we're just very systematically moving forward.
Yeah, it just morphed at some point, and we all just accepted it.
I think though, when you look at it the way I've been looking at it, like kind of in that chronological order and just studying it over time, you'll be able to pick up on some of those little subtleties when they happen and stuff like that. Like, now that story. Now that was also one of those stories. Aside from being the first DC, first intertitle crossover, when Batgirl and I were talking about it, also one of the points I was making about it was that this is another one of those stories from back then. When you started thinking, maybe this was why the CCA came into existence. I mean, now granted, it wasn't overly graphic, mind you, but the idea. But if you're writing comic books at the time for kids, and you got a kid being run over, you got a drunk driver driving off a bridge to his death. That's That's pretty mature for kids,
But what? 1977. I'm in fifth grade, and they've made us all watch a movie called "And Then It Happened," and it was all about sit still on the bus and don't yell, because if you don't, that bus is going to careen across a 4-lane interstate, roll over, glass is going to be everywhere, people are going to die, limbs are going to be cut off, people are going to be bleeding, and cars will be on fire. And we looked at that like that. It scared you.
Now, of course, where the crossover came into effect, though, in that is that. So the story was a Federal Men story, which was in New Adventure Comics. At this point, it was New Adventure 26, Volume 1, New Adventure Comics, the 26th issue, number 26. Yeah. Okay. Radio Squad with Sandy Keene and Larry Trent, who were featured in More Fun comics at the time. They made an appearance in this story as basically the cops who were chasing the drunk driver.
Yeah. And now that was probably facilitated more easily because, like you said, they were both Siegel and Schuster creations.
Right.
So the same writers were on it.
Yeah, a lot of people know of Superman from Siegel and Schuster. That, if you say Siegel and Schuster, most people would if they know the names, they instantly think of Superman.
Oh, sure.
But in the mid to late 30s, they were quite a prolific team. They at this time, even before Superman made his debut, they were writing 5 features across 3 books.
Yeah,
they were doing the Slam Bradley and the Spy Bart Regan features in Detective Comics, the Federal Men feature in New Adventure, and then Dr. Occult and Radio Squad in More Fun. Now, a little bit of a tease here, as it were. The same month that Superman made his debut in Action Comics #1, right?
Right.
That was also the last Golden Age appearance of Dr. Occult.
Yeah, well, at that point, as soon as they saw the sales figures come in, they're like, "You guys need to write a whole bunch more of this Superman stuff. This is Golden Goose stuff." So
now, if they had decided to keep the Dr. Occult as well, now Dr. Occult was 4 pages. Superman was, of course, 13 pages that they did. Dr. Occult was 4. Now, before Superman, I would say Slam Bradley was the main guy because he was the one getting 13 pages.
Yeah.
Bart Regan, I think, at this point was getting 6.
But shortly after Action
Dr.
#1,
and Federal Men were getting 4, and then Radio Squad was getting 2. Now, in doing some of my preview research,
right,
one of the things I also found out is those 4 pages that were gone because of the Dr. Occult feature being ended. Those pages were apparently added to Radio Squad. So Radio Squad went from 2 pages to 6 pages after Dr. Occult's final appearance.
Okay, so more got put to that. But yeah, because like shortly after Action Comics #1, Superman #1 came out. They're like, this guy gets his own book, and we're going to write him in action.
No, it wasn't that. I think it was like a year.
Was it? Okay, yeah, it was exactly 1 year later.
Yeah.
I think they were detective. I mean, Batman wasn't a detective for like 1 or 2 years before Batman 1 came out.
Yeah. Batman made his debut in Detective Comics #27. On sale date, I believe, was March 30th, 1939.
Yeah.
And then, cover date May of 39, I believe. And then I think, again, 1 year later, Batman #1, which featured 2 of his rogues in it as well. The Joker and the Catwoman made their debut as well in Batman #1.
No, actually, Selena Kyle's in Detective Comics 27.
What was that?
The person, Selena Kyle, is in Detective Comics 27.
This is true. She wasn't Catwoman yet, but she was Selena Kyle.
Selena Kyle was in Detective Comics 27.
Huh.
So really, Catwoman shows up in the very first appearance of Batman.
Well, yeah, she had the amnesia that made her into a criminal, which of course also happened to another female criminal in another feature I'll be introducing when we talk about Action Comics #1 on the 17th. We talk a little bit about Tex Thompson and basically his 3 different personas throughout his run.
Mr. America, the Americommando.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he didn't start out as a mystery man. He started out as I like to call him, these Playboy adventurers. The guys that kind of came from money, and like you'd see them in like more kind of exotic type adventures. Like maybe they may go off to be in a safari and they end up finding some lost city somewhere,
and then he became a spy smasher,
something like that. Well, yeah, I think that was more when he became Mr. America. Well, actually, no. The Spy Smasher idea probably was more when he became Americommando. That was his third incarnation.
A very good Tex Thompson story is much more recent than those, but gosh, it's so far back. It might actually be in the middle of the entire comic book timeline now because I'm old. But The Golden Age by James Robinson was a 4-issue prestige book that was a very, very tragic ending for Tex Thompson, and a really, really good send off to the Golden Age heroes as the Silver Age was dawning.
Yeah. Well, as I said, Tex Thompson had like 3 very distinct aspects to his career. He had his plainclothes adventures, where his main enemy was the Gora, the one-eyed Gora. Then you had Mr. America, where his arch enemy was Queen Bee. She's the one I was just mentioning, the one who basically had amnesia and became like a crime boss. And then as Americommando, his arch enemy at that point in time was Dr. Ito.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, there's a handful of characters who, when they get amnesia, they become criminals. You remember, of course, King Tut in the Batman 1966 series. He was just this harmless old professor, and every time he got bonked on the head, he was King Tut. If he got bonked on the head again, he was back to being himself.
Well, I mean, there were some interesting themes, memes back in those days. Another one we'll touch upon quite a bit was the whole idea of transferring like a human brain into an ape's body.
Oh, the Ultrahumanite.
Huh?
The Ultrahumanite.
Ultrahumanite, but it also happened in a few other stories too. There was a Captain Comet story that had happened in. There was
there was Congo Bill and
in fact, actually one of Tex Thompson's early adventures featured a scientist who did that as well, Dr. Kachung.
Well,
I think that was
not to put a spoiler warning on a 30-year-old book, but that's how Tex Thompson died, because his brain was replaced with the Ultrahumanites. So that came full circle.
Well, here's one of the other things. Here's one of the things I'll a little bit of a spoiler to what I'll be covering too. There is a stretch between Action Comics number 13 and 19, right? Those 7 issues, right?
Yeah.
Where the Ultrahumanite appeared in 6 of those 7 issues. The Ultrahumanite was initially supposed to be Superman's arch enemy. The idea of the whole brain versus brawn, that we see with Superman and Luthor,
right,
was originally going to be played out, looks like, between Superman and the Ultrahumanite. At least that was what I would surmise.
It's never too late to do that, because God knows the Ultrahumanite's not being used today, and it was an interesting character because you never knew what the Ultrahumanite was going to look like.
He's being used in the animated series in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's 20 years ago. That's 20 years ago. I mean,
no, I'm talking about the 2000s.
We're
talking about the mid 2000s and to the early 2000s.
That's still 20 years ago.
That's not in the comic books. There's a lot of things they're not using in the comic books anymore. A lot.
A ton of stuff. They have got such a rich catalog of characters that they can.
You know something, RJ. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, reminding people of this.
If they don't want to use it, look at it this way. This is one of the best ways to explain what I'm doing, particularly with the DC aspect of it. But you can do it with any comic universe. Okay, if they're not going to use the characters, now as long as you don't try to make money with it, if you want to, let's say, if you for your own enjoyment want to learn everything you possibly can about a particular comic universe, right? Figure out the timeline, figure out the history, figure all that out. And then you want to decide, like, let's say you decide, okay, I'm going to take it from Final Crisis, and instead of doing the woke BS that we've been seeing, I'm now going to take what I know about the DCU, and I'm gonna develop my own stories in my own head for my own entertainment, regardless of what they do with it.
There's a
as long as
multiverse
they're
out
not
there in
trying to
DC.
make money with it,
Oh,
you know.
Okay, RJ,
Yeah,
I
James.
can't think of the guy's name right now, but who's writing the unofficial and drawing the unofficial X-Men books that he's putting online?
John Byrne.
Yeah, John Byrne he's come in, and have you read some of those?
I have not. I
Oh,
keep hearing
good.
about them.
They're good. They're very good. But
Well, if I remember correctly, wasn't John Byrne the one who actually helped with the post-crisis reboot of Superman?
Yes.
yes, he did. But what I'm saying is, he's got a website. It doesn't cost you anything to go read it, and he's put up 4 issues of X-Men that he's done that are fantastic.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, if I'd have continued writing X-Men, these are the
This
books
is what
in
I
the
would have
order.
done. That's exactly
Yeah.
what he basically did. Yeah, and it's basically I'll tell you characters right now that I would love to get. That if I had time to sit down and draw them and write them in like that. Look at all the Wildstorm that they buried.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they buried all those characters. The
See,
only ones that you see, the only ones that I've seen actually drawn and displayed are 2. There's 2 of them, and that was because it was part of Jim Lee's 60 by 60 auction, and that was Grifter and Zealot. Other than that, there ain't nobody in Wildstorm. Nobody. I mean, they're not doing anything with Wildcats. They're not doing anything with Stormwatch. They're not doing anything with Team 7. They're not doing anything with Cybernary. They're not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they have all that stuff.
Because a lot of the mainstream comics are so focused on using some of the more well-established characters to push agendas.
Wildcats and all that stuff. Milestone was out selling DC by tons of issues. I mean, they were blowing them out the door.
Yes, they were.
And they were when Homage Studios was at Image Comics, nobody was touching anything of Image. The 92 to 90, 93 to 95 or 6, nothing was touching Image. Image was just rolling over everybody in sales. So, I mean, this thing of, DC bought it. No. Now, hats off to Jim Lee. Hats off on this. He knows how to make money. He knows how to make deals. And he knows how to make money. But it sounds like he's like one of the big guys now in DC, and he needs to focus on making money instead of what's going on.
Yeah, there's a character they've got that I would love to have a crack at for a little while too. And his name's Hal Jordan, and they're not using him.
Oh.
Now before you say
the reason they're probably not using Hal Jordan because they're too busy turning Alan Scott gay.
No, not that Hal Jordan. This Hal Jordan.
The kitty cat.
No, Airwave. Airwave.
Okay. But I thought his name was Larry.
His name is Larry Jordan. His son's name is Hal Jordan. And he is Green Lantern Hal Jordan's nephew.
Actually, yeah, I think I did see in one of the resource sites I used, I did see that there was a lot of like crisscrossing Jordans, but here's what I don't get. Even though I have read a little bit about like the original Larry Jordan Airwave, as I understood it, Larry Jordan Airwave was part of Earth 2, and Hal Jordan was part of Earth 1.
He might have been, but I know for a fact that the young Airwave took his costume from his dad, and it lived in the same universe as Hal Jordan. So that might have been one of those that, hey, we're going to make them exist in this world now. But yeah,
I do know, like I've heard, like in the cases of like Zatara and the Golden Age Black Canary, Dinah Drake Lance, I do remember hearing something. I haven't actually read the story or got to that point yet, but in my previous attempts, but I did hear something along the lines where those were 2 characters that started out on Earth 2, and migrated to Earth 1, and that's where
definitely Black Canary originally did. They've changed that origin up so much, but the original one was it was one of the JLA JSA crossovers. Her husband got killed. She didn't want to stay on that Earth anymore. She came across with the Justice League, and as she came across, something happened to her that gave her the Canary Cry. Then that origin got changed to, well, gosh, we can't have the Black Canary from the Justice Society because she'd be old, because they fought in World War II. And
well, I think
we sent the baby across.
Well, and then I think what happened in post-crisis when they cleaned all that up, you had two Black Canary. You had the older Black Canary who was a product of World War II, and then her daughter was the one who was.
Her daughter was the one who got sent over after that. And again, pre-crisis, they had the story where her daughter was sent over as a baby and had been. One of the villains had done something to her to give her a deafening cry. And, if a baby's got a deafening cry like Black Canary, something got to be done. So there was all of that going on. But, yeah, there have been now two Black Canaries, the World War II one and her daughter, which...
The World War II one was, I think, Dinah Drake Lance, who was the daughter of Richard Drake, who was a police detective, and then her husband was Larry Lance, who was a detective, and then Dinah Laurel Lance, who was her daughter, who was the daughter
who finally married Green Arrow, and then I guess didn't. So it's
DC is quite convoluted at times in terms of
she's second only to Hawkman when it comes to convoluted history.
Hawkman is like, let's change his origin this week. No, let's change it next week or the week after.
And that James Robinson Hawkman series, God bless him, that man actually took everything that was messed up about Hawkman and didn't change a thing about it. And it all makes sense now. They didn't have to do. And then what they do? Savage Hawkman. They just threw out everything.
It's kind of funny. One of the features I'm still covering right now in around the time I'm in, Speed Saunders, right? They eventually made him part of the Hawkman Hawkgirl storyline by basically saying he was the cousin of Shiera Sanders Hall.
Yep.
And I think the grandfather of Kendra Saunders.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is they started making everybody related, the Jordans, the Saunders. It's kind of like they had their own Wold Newton kind of thing going on. Now, James, you probably know the Wold Newton theory. Mike, I don't know if you've gone down this rabbit hole yet or not, but
probably not, because doesn't sound familiar to me.
Yeah, the Wold Newton theory is about a meteor crash in the Wold Newton area of England that irradiated a few people. This is a Philip Jose Farmer. He's a science fiction writer. His theory, and it's basically he's got an entire family tree now that goes from Doc Savage to Tarzan to Zorro, ties all these pulp characters together as part of some interconnected web of relationships, all dating back to this meteor, which made people special.
There's a difference in years and time frame with these characters, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, they were generations apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Zorro, oh God, this is they're going to make a TV series of Zorro.
No, don't do that, please.
And guess what I've heard? It's going to be modern day, and it's going to deal with immigration, and it's going to deal with.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, it's going to be. Here we go again. Yep.
No, we can't. Robert Roberts, no, we will not. No, we cannot. We cannot talk about Sonic Q and Rasa Chu and Chris Chan. We will not talk about Chris Chan. because I value this channel.
I heard a little bit about Chris Chan, but
don't even.
Stop, Mike. Stop.
I'll mute your mic.
Okay, I get it.
No.
But there are some corners of the internet that not even I want to glance at.
And so. I actually agree with you. That's the only thing I would have said about it is that.
Yeah, well, you did. That's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
Anyways, maybe this would be a good time to tell everybody what's
This is a perfect
what's
time.
what's to come for our in the coming week or weeks.
Well, you go first this time, Mike, and we can start with what's happening tomorrow night.
Yeah, okay. And Robert should know this too because he's been visiting my channel as well. So tomorrow night on my channel, I'll be opening up the studio in a very similar fashion to this for anybody and everybody who would like to join in on the conversation. We'll be having an open mic night. Kind of a panel style discussion for anybody who wants to join in. I'll have the link pinned, the StreamYard link pinned in the chat. If you want to come and join us. Of course, I've already invited RJ and James to join if they would like as well. And of course, my usual guys will be there. Possibly Backo, Woody, Leto. But it's open to anybody who'd like to join in on the chat. I've thought about a little bit about what I might bring up, and since since tomorrow is Labor Day here in the States, first week of now, you two should know this as well because you probably grew up around the same time I did. When we were growing up, you guys remember what was it like for you guys around this time of year? Do you guys remember?
Going to school.
Yeah. After this was
what about going to school? I know that as kids you probably didn't look forward to going to school, but what else did you actually look forward to around this time of year?
Oh yeah, the new afternoon cartoons.
Bingo!
Oh yeah. Saturday morning was coming around the corner.
Well, no,
right. New seasons, and I might get into that a bit. Ask a little.
There was two different sets. There was the Saturday morning cartoons, and then there was the 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock block.
Well, yeah, there were those syndicated cartoons, yeah, which all were happening around this time, of course.
When I got home from school, well, depending on what year it was, when I got home from school, especially when I started out like elementary school, it was G-Force, Space Battleship Yamato, Captain Harlock, Looney Tunes. That was weekdays. I got those on weekdays. Then as I went further, we got Robotech, Thundercats, Voltron, Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball. And we got some other stuff too, He-Man and all that stuff. Everything started coming on the, Centurions, all that stuff started dropping in the 80s. Those were on weekdays. That wasn't even on the weekends. And then,
I grew up in the 80s where we did have like the syndicated cartoons, like that's where Transformers, He-Man, and all that.
Yeah, all that stuff was
coming in. So that was so we might talk a little bit about that as part of the I can
tell you why they took the Saturday morning cartoons off and put all that other stuff on.
I assume it was because cable.
No, it was to save money. It was more.
Well, it was partly that. It was also the fact for the government was stressing the high stuff too.
It was cheaper to do the news and to do the other stuff than it was to actually produce the cartoons that are running on Saturday mornings. And that's why you had that breaking of the thing. Not only that, that was when Cartoon Network was fixing to launch. There was another Cartoon Network going on, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it didn't have the backing of Ted Turner when it launched. And so a lot of things were moving over there. And a lot of them moved over to the US network as well.
Yeah. So anyway, so tomorrow night, of course, we've got the open mic, and of course you guys are invited. And part of the reason, of course, RJ, I made you a mod too on my channel, was so you could actually share the link yourself, because that's what the other guys were suggesting. So you can share. I know you tried to ask me about sharing the link on my channel, so you can do that yourself since you're a mod now on my channel.
I can not only do that, I can share it here. So I just got to tell you what. Why don't you drop it to me in the private chat here, so I can paste it while James is telling us about what's going on at his place at thesteins.com, the link of which I do have available and posting right now.
Yeah, right now we got sales on book 1 and book 2. You can get book 1 as paperback and hardback, and you can get book 2 as a paperback. This is again, we're still running the post sale from the con, so that means you can get both. And if you want to contact me through, you can get both paperbacks together for $20 plus shipping, which is $5, so $25 for both books, or you can pick them up each. Paperbacks is 15 a piece. And of course, the hardback is 25 a piece. That everything is shipping is included. So just you can hop over that. You can hop over to the website, or you can contact me through Amazon, not Amazon, but Twitter, Parlor, Minds. You can contact me that way. So that's what's going on right now. And I do have some prints that I'll be putting up on the website pretty soon.
Oh, very cool, very cool. And of course, your sketch covers that you showed earlier are going to be showing up on the Alterna auction stream.
Yeah, next Alterna auction. So if you want those, come over. I'm spending about 8 hours on each sketch cover. So I mean, I'm not doing them real quick. So I mean, they're quality covers. I mean, they're not going to be just a face or something like that. I mean, I'm really doing some serious stuff. I've got one planned with Hammerella and Izuma from Guys and Gears doing a fight on one of the covers. So you'll see that. I'm
looking forward to getting Hammerella because I'm getting a head sketch with that one. Ryan did me a head sketch one night when he was on our channel, and
this is the character sketch I did of Hammerella.
Let's give it the full screen that it deserves.
I mean, yeah, it's a quick sketch, but you can see how I designed it.
Oh yeah, it's the roughs. Yeah, that'll be cool.
I just sent you the link, RJ.
Yeah,
I got it.
This is what I'm using as a base for what I'm going to do on the sketch cover. I've already got Izuma on one of the sketch covers, but I'm going to do really dark. I mean, I'm going to have buildings crumbling and stuff. So they're really going to look like they've been beating the crud out of each other.
Okay.
So it'll be really cool.
All right. Well, I am putting the link out now, as in enter, and there is the link to Mike's open mic night tomorrow. That's goes straight to his YouTube video. So put that on your watch list. So
I gave you the wrong link, Mike. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm an
idiot. you gave me the link that I copied and pasted, which was the Steins.com.
Yeah, it's not the Steins.com. It's actually the VonSteins.com. I had to put
Why did I think it was the Steins.com anyway? Because it seemed like it worked for me just fine.
Yeah. RJ, you got to remember, too, it's one word, mic stand.
Oh, it is?
Well, yeah. I have it as one word. You have it as two. But
that's why I have such trouble finding it sometimes then when I'm searching.
Yeah, because you're still thinking it's two words, but it's like, and I've told you that before, too, I believe. So,
yeah.
I
don't listen.
Of course, aside from, of course, the open mic night tomorrow night, this Friday we'll be continuing our trip down historical comic book lane. This Friday we'll be finishing up April of 1938, in which we'll be looking at some books that went on sale at that time from Dell Comics, which of course we'll probably be reading primarily out of the Funnies Volume 2, number 20, which, some of the features include Alley Oop, Squibbly Gibbet, Mutt and Jeff, Cicero's Cat, Ben Webster's Page. Probably reading primarily out of that one. But we'll also be talking a little bit about Super Comics number 1, the debut of Super Comics from Dell. Talking a little bit about some of the growth that Dell will be going through in the spring of 38 as more titles. They're coming out with more titles. And we'll be touching, granted, just a quick little note on Tip Top Comics number 25 from United Feuders, just as an acknowledgement of it that it's the 25th issue, because there's no other details on it other than that. Just so people understand a little bit, and I've explained this to you before, RJ, privately, but just so you guys kind of understand like how I do my coverage. Okay. So for the most part, with a lot of stuff, like at this time back in the late 30s, they were still doing where a lot of the comics were still doing, a lot of newspaper reprints,
Oh yeah.
Only DC and Centaur at this point were really doing where they were primarily doing original material, even though you would start to see other companies start to add more original material, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But with the stuff that's primarily reprints or stuff that's a little bit more generic in nature, I do what I call the Milestone Method, because I still want to give you a sample of how things were being written and stuff like that. But some of those were so, was just kind of so mundane, so slice of life mundane that like reading every issue, it's like a cartoon, right? It's like a cartoon where nothing really changes over time. It's like, so
and as you get deeper into this study, you're going to have so many more titles explode on you that you're going to have to start getting choosy and picky about which ones you're going.
I'm already doing that with like DC and Quality, because Quality is another one that kind of has some more original stuff. But yeah, I get what you're saying there. I'm already thinking to that too.
Yeah.
But with the more of that stuff, what I do is as I call the Milestone Method, where I may note, or if I can read, if there's material to read, I'll read it, obviously, but I'll at the very least note it by reading like a summary, the first issue, and then the fifth, every fifth issue up to issue 30, then like from 30 to 100 every 10th and 25th issue.
That's a good
up
way
to 100, and then from 100 to 300, it's like every 25th issue, so on and so forth.
A good sampling of it. So for everybody who's interested in getting into the comic book history and the origins of a lot of this business, definitely tune into the Mic Stand, no space, the Mic Stand. Say it like that, and search for it like that, and follow the link, and just subscribe to the channel while you're on that channel, on that for the open mic tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Here at Critical Blast this week, we've got the calendar is filled. We'll be talking with Ryan Cardinal, Mike Gordon. Mike Gordon's show, by the way, is going to be part of the NSC Roadshow, which Critical Blast has now been inducted into. So we will be part of the NSC Roadshow. They basically promote crowdfunders to us to promote to you, and we'll have an entirely different set of intro and outro videos to go with that to acknowledge that it's part of this roadshow. We will have New Take Media on Friday with their book Grandpa, which just looks super, super cool. And then Frontier Forever on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I said 7 p.m. because I'm in Central. I write them down where I'm at. And then Thursday, I'm taking the night off. I will not be doing any interviews. Filling in for me will be Marmalade. And Marmalade is going to be having a discussion with Comic Perch. So there will be a battle over which where the best Happy Meal comes from, whether it's Arby's or McDonald's or Burger King, and they're going to talk about comic books and why Perch is so knowledgeable about them. And if you like Marmalade, then he's also going to be on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Comics Madness with Comics Talk with Pop Van Zant. So he'll be a guest over there promoting his show. He's becoming he's going to take over is what's going to happen. And I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Anyhow, guys, been a good talk, good hour spent here.
Mm-hmm.
And folks in the chat, appreciate you being here. If you want to help the channel out, we do have super chats. I will read them, but then I read everything anyway, so I understand not having an incentive to hit the button there. But we do have some Amazon links down below that will take you to the books that Critical Blast has published. Speaking of books, I start tomorrow on the summary outline for The Destroyer, number 154, Buzzkill. So the new Remo Williams book is now underway and has been discussed with the publisher. So we're on track for that to get that going. But the books that Critical Blast publishes, Gods and Services, Bulletproof, The Devil You Know, those links are down below. Feel free to click them and maybe even pick up the ebook if you want. With that, we're glad you came. We don't have a show without you. And as